Hey friend, welcome in this video. Today we're going to learn the French defense. This system, this chess opening system, characterized after the move e4 and the move e6. How this system actually created? For example, here we can play after this move. People used to say the move e5, try to take equal space in the center as white, and here usually white plays something like this, and after that bishop to c4, and finally they checkmate or try to attack in general on the weakest square on f7. This is the main idea. So we had a match again, an English and a French team, actually two clubs played there on 1834, and all the French players try to avoid every fast attack against f7 pawn, and they play the move e6, and for that reason French players won. Actually, white player didn't know what to do, and after this match, actually this system called the French defense, thanks to these clubs actually from France, they managed to win this game. And it's little difficult for white to handle the system and attack this. I was completely beginner, and one friend of mine, completely amateurs, started playing chess. He started after this move, and I remember the feeling. It was little hard to attack on the pawn f7, and it was little difficult for me what to do. And now we have some options. Of course, white here has to take some space in the center. This is the most logical move because we allowed him to take some space. And we have two strategies. The first strategy is to take equal space like e4, e5, and the other strategy is to counter-attack the e4 square. And we can do it with different ways actually. We can do it with the French defense, because in the next move we are going to play d5, attacking this pawn. We can do this on Caro-Kann defense with the move c6, and next we are going to play that. And of course we have the Scandinavian defense, completely, immediately attacking this pawn on e5. Every system has pros and cons, obviously. Now we're focusing on e6, and after d4 we can strike in the center on d5. Of course, white here has some options, and we're going to see all of them. They can play different move orders. First of all, we have the Tarrasch, we have the classical variation, we have the exchange French, or we have the advanced French. The advanced French is when he's putting the pawn forward. It's more strategical system. He's going to take more space, and he would like to build behind the space. He don't like immediately action between the pieces, more quiet game. However, it frees out our hands because we can strike in the center. Now we have something very clear to do. And what we need to do is to attack the center with the move c5, try to undermine this d4 pawn. And the entire French idea is to attack this pawn on d4. How to do it? Attack like this, then we have knight c6, queen there, and the knight on f5. But the knight cannot go on f5 immediately, so we can go there from e7 and to f5, or even from f6 and to f5. Two different options. And now you can play something like this, protecting the center. We can continue, he can continue protecting everything, and queen on b6. You see, we're putting pressure immediately there. What he can do here, he has some options. One of them is very tricky. How are you going to play now? Because it looks like that you can take this pawn on d4, right? You have more power. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. It looks like that we can take it. What do you think? Can you take that? And of course, in every opening, in chess in general, we need to calculate how to do it step by step by practicing and exercises. Here I add you this exercise, and of course we should not take, at least we can take once, it's okay, but we should not do this one, because you can take, we can take, we will feel happy, we just won a knight here, we're attacking this pawn on e5, however the disaster is here, and he can play this discover attack. What is the discover attack? He opened the line to capture the queen. We cannot take his queen actually, because he's attacking our king, so we are losing here our precious queen, and we are losing the game. Obviously we don't have anything to put here, he's going to take the queen. So we should not play that one, and in this particular moment, after the move bishop to d3, we are not losing obviously, we should not take on d4, but we can play this normal developing move, bishop on d7, and now we are reinforce this attack on d4, and it's putting little more pressure. On the French defense, by the way, we have a small problem. What is this a small problem? We have this bad bishop. And in general, when we play black, we need to defend at the first moves. We need to do something to develop some develop some pieces, solve some problems, and after that we are going to solve other problems. We have this problem of the bad bishop, and we are going to do something later. And now what he can do, bishop d3 is a very tricky option. Of course, I'm going to show you one mistake here. The mistake is to capture immediately, because we are developing our pieces and immediately threatening this weak pawn on f2. He is going to protect it, but we have better development there. It's very nice for us, so white should not capture here, but he can play another solid opening like this one, and now we can we have two ideas. One of them, as we said, is to play the knight here, and after that maybe we can take with the queen, or we can play a little more tricky move, this one, because we are threatening that pawn. We can reinforce the attack with the knight there, the knight here attacking that pawn, and of course we are liberating the bishop to attack that one. So this is an interesting idea. How to solve this problem, because we have a little problem here. After this we're blocking the diagonal, so for that reason we can first take, he can take, and after that we can play again knight here on e7, and the next move the knight can land on f5. It's a playable position, very nice for both players, both of them can play. However, we have another idea here. We can develop the knight on h6. It looked like dubious actually to develop the knight there, because he can take with the bishop, right? And now you can see how complicated this system is. It is a semi-open system, so the center is not open completely actually. We have a little close position there, and in close position we can do very strange things like this one. Now this pawn is of course doubled, very bad to have double pawns on the edge of the board. However, we are controlling this g5 square, so the knight cannot jump here. We have the bishop pair, another advantage, and we're attacking that pawn on b2, so he has to do something. In addition to that, we have another maneuver, and the other maneuver is to play the rook on g8, attacking that pawn here on g2, putting more pressure, and after that we have another maneuver to play rook g4, and suddenly with the main idea to attack the pawn on d4. The game is complicated. Black is not winning, or white is not winning here, and the better player is going to win the game. However, you can see how complicated is this system. So it was all about this advanced variation after the move e5. Now let's see something else. The second variation that we're going to examine here is the exchange variation. Black should not afraid after this. We can just take the pawn. White would like to play more quiet game. He's going to develop his pieces, and after that try to fight in the middle game, right? To do something there, not in the opening. More positional players could play something like this. He can develop the knight, we can develop the bishop here. And after this we have a very key move. You need to remember that move. It's nothing wrong to play symmetrically like this one. However, we have a better idea, and the better idea is to play knight to e7, because we're just completely blocking the file. But this is not the most the key idea behind it. The key idea is to develop the bishop on f5. This is what we would like to do, and of course we are going to do it not immediately. We're going to castle, and after this he's trying to distract our pieces. We cannot play this one because the knight is pinned, so we have to play this move f6. It looked ugly, however we took some squares here. The knight cannot jump forward, weakened a little bit that square on e6, but white cannot really take advantage of that square on e6, right? He cannot do it right now. And in our next move we can play something like this, and if he just exchange we can put the knight here, and everything looks okay for black, right? This is another system. However, here I have another idea for you. We're just talking about the exchange friends, and we talk about bishop on d6 and try to castle king side, knight to e7 castling king side. However, we have something else, and the alternative option is, because we play with solid players, we try to attack, right? We try to do something, complicate the game. How to complicate? Try to make opposite castlings. For that reason we can play the move knight c6 with the idea to develop the queenside pieces and castling queenside. How to do that? After this, for example, we can pin. He can play something like this, because now we are threatening the pawn, the knight is pinned, and we can take on d4, and after this check we can recapture with the knight. So we are threatening that pawn, he can leave, he can lose little time, and after this he can play castling and castling. And what is our idea here? To put the bishop there, the knight here, c6, h5, g5, maybe the knight can land there later and start attacking, try to do something on the king side. It's a very sharp game actually, the better player is going to win for sure. However, it's another alternative idea to complicate the game and play with weaker opponents. Now let's move forward to more traditional variation, more main lines, and we have knight c3, the classical variation, and after that white has this very interesting Wiener variation. I never liked it with black, to be honest. I play a lot of games with the white pieces, and white here can play something like this one, try to stop everything, and after that he's going to advance on the king side with this queen because we leave this unprotected. Black is sacrificing these two pawns, and this h pawn could be very dangerous actually because it will be a passed pawn. I'm not really believe on this Wiener variation, but definitely has some venom on it, and black can play with tactics after this. And white, in order to avoid this variation, he can play actually here the Tarrasch defense. The main idea behind the Tarrasch defense is to avoid this bishop on b4 variation, because he can play something like c3. However, this knight is a little more passive here on d2. I used to play this system because I afraid a little bit the Wiener, and then I studied very nicely and I started playing knight to c3. It's up to you actually, or up to white. You can play anything you want. But after knight c3, we can play other moves. Bishop b4 is one of the systems, but of course we can play the classical variation here. Now white has two options. One of them is to play e5, and after that we have the Stein's variation, in which again we need to play the move d4. Maybe we can play something like this. If white try to castle king side, we can start assault attack there on the king side, or if he castles short side or stay in the center, we can play this move f6 at the right point to attack, to undermine white's center. These are ideas on Tarrasch defense. However, we have more options, or white has more options. He has this bishop g5, and now black has two ideas. One of them is to capture on e4, the Bern variation, or he can play bishop b4 again. Something similar to the Wiener variation. It's called Michelson variation. And of course here I'd like to mention that white is not winning a piece after this, because we have h6, and if he goes back we have g5. Complicated stuff, but we have this idea with black. We are not losing anything. We are not losing material. Black is choosing here. He can choose the Wiener, he can choose the classical variation, or he can choose this Rubinstein variation, taking on e4. The idea on Rubinstein variation is to play more simply and have a unique repertoire against knight c3 or knight d2, because in both cases, even if white play knight c3 or if he plays knight d2, we can take there, and he has to recapture actually. So we're going to combine our knowledge and limit the repertoire. We captured here, and now we can play knight to d7 with the idea to play the other knight here, bishop e7 castling, and how to solve the problem of this bishop, b6, bishop b7 at the right time to play something like c5, and black is going to lose all of the problems there. This is the setup that black can play. Very easy to play, it's a little more passive actually, but it's very playable. And we have another option here, and the other option called this variation, bishop on d7. It looks a little strange, but it exists. It's called fourth Knox variation, because it's very difficult for white to crack it. It's very difficult to do something. And what is the main idea? The main idea is to exchange this problematic piece. We're going to give it for some knight there. And after that we can play chess, right? And the game can go like this. We can continue developing our pieces normally. Don't be in a hurry to capture there in any knight, because he didn't threaten anything, right? We can do it later. And as a chess players, we need to keep options. We can play this one, and after that we can play bishop e7. Here, for example, castling c3, and here we can choose. We can give the bishop for the knight, or we can play something like b6, more flexible. Maybe we can put the bishop back actually, and our main idea is to play c5 at the right moment. These are the ideas. Or we can continue completely give this bishop there, and after this to play something like c6, and we have a similar system to the Caro-Kann, or more precisely to Scandinavian defense. So French defense is a very playable system. If you have any question or something, you are very welcome to write a comment below that video. Thank you very much, and see you soon. So, why you should become a member? This is an amazing opportunity to you to support the channel and gain access to exclusive perks. Well, it's not just about supporting the channel, it's about becoming part of the exclusive community. You'll be helping me to continue creating the content you love, and in return you get some fantastic benefits. We have 3 membership levels, tolerated fit everyone needs: the Gold, the Diamond and the Platinum. Join as a member is a great way to interact with me directly. You will get loyalty badges next to your name in comments, access to custom emojis and special discounts. I prioritize replies to members. Access exclusive videos available only for members to enhance your chess skills. The time to improve is now. On the Platinum membership plan you will get a chess course for free. So what you are waiting for? Click the join button to become a member today. Let's take this journey together to the next level and unlock these amazing perks.